I want everybody in here to close your eyes and think about that one time in your life where you realized what your identity was. It's that happy day where you sit there in that moment and know exactly what you're going to do in your life. It's a very calming experience. It's empowering, and you feel so special that you know you have your whole life planned out. Everybody knows it. You know it. See, for me, as a young boy growing up in the San Francisco Bay Area, I grew up on the baseball field. I would watch my uncle and my cousins play at a very high level. Watch them play high school, into summer ball at American Legion, and all the way to Division I baseball. And I was lucky enough to see my uncle, who was my father figure, sign a minor league contract with the Montreal Expos. That organization doesn't exist anymore. It was a pretty cool opportunity to see what my uncle was creating in his life. And what I learned early on, being on the baseball field and attending those games, was that this was home. This was the moment that I realized that nothing could hurt me. Not one person, not anything. Not my grandmother dying of pancreatic cancer in 1997. Not drama in the hallways at Clayton Valley High School. Not the fact that I was bullied early on in middle school and elementary school, fearing when I walked home from school. That baseball field, as soon as I walked through the gates, I was safe. I knew I had my place. I knew that those were the moments that were going to shape my life. I knew I was going to be a Major League Baseball player. I could throw it. I can hit it. It was just me. It's who I was. Now, fast forward a few years, got really good. People started noticing, and then came the glory days. That's young Shawn French at the pinnacle of college baseball, Louisiana State University. See, I joined Louisiana State University the year after they won the College World Series. And mind you, think about this as a young boy growing up, watching LSU on TV win all those national championships. 5 and 10 years. I was like, wow, it'd be pretty cool to go there. Well, we manifested it. And there was a lot of great times. Those were the glory days, right? Where you know who you are, you have the confidence. You're unshakable. You're clear in your vision. You have so much clarity on what your path is on a daily basis that you know when you wake up, you are driven by your purpose. And yes, at that level, there was a little bit of fame that went involved. That was pretty cool as a young man. One day in June of 2003, the glory days, as I like to call it, came to an end. Right there in Omaha, Nebraska. College World Series, 2003. Number 2 team in the nation, Louisiana State University, goes down in 2 games. They're packing up. They're flying home to Baton Rouge to face all the critics. But what concerned me was standing in right field, not knowing who Shawn French was. I was about to embark on a journey called life, not knowing who I am, because Shawn French, the baseball player, was now gone. Think about that moment. Have you all felt that way before? Have you all been so sure about what your life path is going to look like, and then all of a sudden, it changed right before your eyes? Now, when those glory days end, the transition sometimes can be the difficult part. This is where the identity crisis may happen. For a lot of individuals, it does. There's going to be times that you guys sitting in this room about to graduate college, or you're an entrepreneur. Those days are going to change. You're going to graduate. You're no longer a student. You got to figure out what the next move is. As an entrepreneur, you may have to sunset that business. You got to find a new identity. Now, these identity crises always start with that new season in life, as I mentioned. And it can be scary. You're sitting there, you don't know. Expectations of you and expectations of yourself run wild in between the 6 inches of your ears, and it's so noisy, and you just can't get the chatter out, which can lead to poor decisions. And we've all heard, if you don't heal, you hurt. I sat there for many years feeling this void, this gaping void inside of me by making bad decisions, hurting people that love me, hurting those that cared about me. Looking back at it, I wish they were sitting in the room right now so they could hear this apology. I didn't know any better. I was doing the best I could at that time, trying to find myself. But you know what the great part about those identity crises is that it's an opportunity for growth. Because at that moment, you can sit there and say, do I sit in this? Do I ruin the rest of my life holding on to identities and concepts that no longer really matter? That was something in life that I did, not who I am. And that's where the transitions are born. Now you'll see here, this young man laying in a hospital bed. It's Parker Bird. I'd say about 3 summers ago, him and his buddies that were about to go to East Carolina University to play baseball. Highly touted shortstop. Going to be the guy. Probably a first-day draft guy. After his time at ECU is done. Well, as mentioned, him and his buddies, baseball boys. Baseball boys are crazy. We like to do fun stuff. They go out on a boat. They have such a great time. They think, hey, maybe we'll go again tomorrow. And they had to sit there and think of ways that they can get people to stay because they were supposed to go home, changing flights, everything you can imagine. Parents are thinking, what's going on? They don't feel good about it. Parker feels this little thing inside of him that says, hey, this isn't right. But kids will be kids, especially baseball players. They say, what the heck? Let's stay. Let's go on the boat the next day. Unfortunately, there was different plans that day. Parker Bird was in a horrific boating accident with his teammates. Now, luckily, nobody passed. But Parker Bird sustained injuries that caused him to lose his right leg from the kneecap down. And him sitting there in that hospital bed, he had to make a decision based on his perception of the events. What am I going to do? Now, I've talked to this young man personally many times. Inspiring man. He said, well, it's not going to look like the way I wanted it to anymore. But you know what? I'm going to East Carolina University. It's just going to look different. I'm going to get on that field and I'm going to play. So what that young man had to do, and just like everybody else in this room, including myself, has to do in those moments of transition in life, is think of these things. How do I perceive this? Is it happening for me or is it happening to me? Hopefully, it's for you, because that's a mindset shift. Then the next thing is decide what we are going to do. Just like that young man in the hospital bed. I'm going to play college baseball. Plan for it with the doctors and the coaches and physical therapy and probably a lot of trauma coaches and people helping him get through. And then you take all those things and then you execute the plan. Earlier this year, opening night at East Carolina University, I'm happy to tell everybody in this room that Parker Bird got an at-bat. He is the first collegiate baseball player to ever play with a prosthetic limb. History. He earned a walk on 4 pitches, and he realized and actualized that dream of still being a college baseball player. Now, you may be asking me or thinking to yourself, how does this apply? How does this apply to my life? I'm not a Division I baseball player. No, you're right, you're not, but you're a human being. And everybody in this room has gone through these moments where your life has shifted completely. Maybe you were a spouse, and then you're not. Maybe you're an entrepreneur, now you're not. You're a student, now you graduated. See, all these things are transitions in your life. And what we have to do in those moments is focus on the things that are going to help us move forward in our life, but not be stuck in the past. And I tell this to all my clients, all my athletes, all my entrepreneurs. You cannot build your future living in the past. You build your future focusing on this moment right here and right now, making decisions to catapult you forward in your growth. I want to leave you all with a little bit of something. If you look at this slide here, the center of control, what is it? Well, if you look closely, there's an outer circle. That's a circle of concern. The circle of concern are the things that should not concern us at all. We cannot control any of that. The weather, the government, whether people like you. That doesn't matter. Now you have the circle of influence. That's getting closer to the center there. That circle of influence is the things that you can kind of influence in your life. How you treat the people you love, how you show up in public spaces, and how you present yourself to society, how you try to influence relationships to be built in your life. But then there's that circle of control. That's the bullseye. That's where everything that you can control lies, right there in the very center of it. If you take everything going on in your life, whether it's your career, your love life, your spiritual life, your fitness, financial, it doesn't matter, and you write down all those things that you can control, and you write down all the things you can't control, and that column that you can't control, we burn that. We don't focus on that stuff. We focus on the list of things that we can control. And I guarantee you all something here today. If everybody in this room focuses on everything that they can control in their own life for the next 120 days, your life will look completely different. Be filled with joy, fun, and accomplishment. And also understand something else. That's when you will find out who you truly are. You are not what you do. You are not a human. You're not a human doing. You are a human being. Thank you.